All right, Coach Miller, go right ahead.
Well, we're excited. It's not often that you have an opportunity to open a brand new arena. And we've talked about it with the team that they'll look back decades from now and be able to tell their families that they played the first women's basketball game in the new Stroh Center. And so we're really excited about the opportunity. We're excited to see what the crowd and what the atmosphere will bring at Stroh Center compared to Anderson. And it's a once in a lifetime. Very, very few people have this opportunity. So we're gonna enjoy it, and we're gonna live in the moment and try to have fun as much as we can.
Well, I guess, what have you learned about your basketball team so far?
Well, we're young, obviously a work in progress. When you graduate over 6,000 points with that tremendous senior class, the obvious question is where you're going to get your points. And it's not easy right now trying to figure out how to score. And it wasn't just the Dayton game. We've had trouble scoring in practice. So we have some kinks to work out at the offensive end. But more than anything, the thing that you realize is that players have not been put in a position to have adversity before. We've only had one player in our program ever start a college game until the other night at Dayton. We only had one player on our team that had averaged over 3 points a game for a season. So we have a lot of unproven players that just lack game experience. And you're going to have adversity in the game. Well, when you have a veteran group, a seasoned group, when you have adversity, they've been through that. They've been through the ups and downs and realize they have to move on from play to play. And unfortunately, younger teams or inexperienced players live and die with good plays or bad plays a little bit more. And so we have to get out there and play. We have to get out there and find some momentum and figure out how this team can be successful. That's our challenge right now. How can this team find success?
I guess, how do you make sure your team, I mean, they're really young and stuff, tough opponents to start the year, that they don't get mentally broken down as they try to learn?
It's a great question. It's a great question. That's the challenge right now. You have a hard-driving, no-nonsense staff when it comes to basketball. So we're pushing them. We're being demanding. We're being hard on them to grow up in a hurry. At the same time, you're subtly cheering behind the scenes for little victories and minor victories that seemed so trivial in the past, and all of a sudden someone makes a read outside of what the play dictates, and you're genuinely really excited. And so it's that fine line, and that's the hard part with a young team. They haven't had success. We have tough opponents. The coaching staff's pushing. We don't want to break their spirit, and that's why we got to get away from the thinking that wins and losses are the only thing that define us. We've got to try and get better each and every day. That's where this program is right now. We've got to continue to get better each and every day and truly look at our exhibition, our non-conference schedule as 12 to 13 test runs before conference play gets around. And if we can keep it that way and not just live and die with the wins and losses, I think you're going to see a much better team in January than you do right now. But we are, the common phrase, a work in progress without question.
Purdue? Is that a question?
Purdue is a fantastic program, an historic program, with tremendous tradition. They are, for a reason, ranked in the top 20 in the preseason polls and most polls. They have outstanding depth. They have outstanding athleticism, and they have individual all Big Ten caliber players. So it is a really tough matchup. I fear that we're going to have trouble scoring. My scary statistics of the week are Purdue went 7-0 last year against their 7 mid-major non-conference opponents. In those games, they averaged margin of victory was 30, and 3 of those opponents lost by more than 40. They only gave up an average of 46 points a game last year to their 7 mid-major opponents. So you move forward. Well, that was last year. Those are stats from last year, Coach. Well, let's look at their opening game of the season. 75-45. 30-point game once again against a mid-major opponent, and held a team right there in the 45 or 46 period. So we understand we're severe underdogs. It is a really, really tough task, but what a great opportunity. You know, you open a building against a nationally ranked opponent, an opponent with a great tradition. We understand the challenge that it presents, but you know, it's kind of fun to go out there and just try to be the best you can be for the 2 hours and for the 40 minutes of the game times. And but we realize, you know, some of those statistics. You know, Purdue recently has really, really beaten up on the mid-majors, and so we have our work cut out for us.
What do they do defensively?
They're predominantly a man-to-man team with really good ball pressure. They got great quickness in the backcourt, so they have constant pressure on your point guards. If it's not little quick kids, they put 6-foot long lanky athletes on your point guards. So it all starts with the pressure on the point guards. They're big and physical inside, so they're hard to score easy baskets inside, and then they rebound the ball really, really well to finish off the defensive stance. If their man lets them down, they're very comfortable and will flow into a 3-2 zone and without a beat. And so you have to prepare for both defenses, but they will come at you with a lot of man-to-man pressure in the beginning of the game.
From the Dayton game, Curt, was there one area in particular that has become your concern, your biggest concern?
Well, one of the areas that we feel like we can take care of ourselves was transition defense was a big point of emphasis in our program, but big point of emphasis in the Dayton game. And we gave up too many transition points. Not only did they run at us on misses and scored too much in transition, our turnovers led directly to easy transition points. So Purdue pushes the ball arguably even better, and so we have to clean up our transition defense. We have to limit our turnovers to take away some of the easy baskets that Purdue gets. Purdue won in their opener against IUPUI, scored 75 points, and at times struggled in the quarter court, but they were able to get so many points off of transition and off of turnovers that they were still able to get themselves to 75 points. And we're the same way. We didn't do that very well against Dayton, and that's something that you can quickly turn around. And hopefully we'll have a little bit better transition defense and try to limit our turnovers as much as possible.
Curt, we saw the same Dayton team 2 days later go up to Toledo, and Toledo, for at least the first half, really handed it to them. Can you kind of put that as a perspective of where the MAC is this year? I mean, it looks like up year for the MAC.
Well, certainly Toledo is absolutely loaded and veteran and just ready to use their momentum that they had at the end of last season. And I think you see a component of basketball. Dayton prepared all summer to win their opener against us. And then they have a one-day turnaround to play Toledo, which they beat last year by nearly 40. Toledo has a foreign tour and prepares the whole year, the whole summer to play in their first game against Dayton, a team that nearly beat them by 40 last year. And so I think you saw, teams at different points. Yeah, there's not every time we called a play, Dayton knew what we were running. And they had obviously been working weeks on our prep. They got one day for Toledo. Toledo had been working all summer, and had it in their mind how poorly they played against Dayton last year. Now, with all that said about how basketball works, Toledo is a fantastic defensive team. And I'm not sure if Dayton played well or not. I was not there. But Toledo can make a lot of teams look silly. And so you got to give a lot of credit to their defense. Their defense is just fantastic. And as they try to figure out how to score with some of their new pieces in place, because they did not shoot well, you learn that their defense is so good that they can win big games even when they don't play fantastic offensively.
Then let me kind of switch that towards your team. Basically, if I'm catching the drift here, you're saying that, you know, there are kind of ebbs and flows to games and preparing for big teams and things like that. Does that become a bigger concern when you have a young team that doesn't have experience of dealing with highs or even lows?
You know, I hope I don't have to talk about youth all year long, but we're going to be young and we're not going to grow up in a hurry. But the game experience is the biggest thing. They just haven't been in game experience, even your upperclassmen. And so they don't live the highs and lows personally on the floor. They don't get to play through that. They don't understand when there's changes from a scouting report or you have to make adjustments in games. They haven't been the ones that are making game time adjustments. Even though the program is, they aren't the ones that have been on the floor making those game time adjustments. The freshmen are still, you know, overwhelmed that we give them a 30-page scouting report. You know, they're like, wow, this is really what happens at this level. And, you know, they're still overwhelmed at counting the pages and before they try to dissect what's in it. They're like, wow, this is incredible. And that's what you just have with a young team. And I really, really like this group. I really do. We've pulled our hair out a lot already, but we knew what we were walking into with a young team and graduating who we graduated. And that's why we can't get hung up on the wins and losses early. We got to look at the small victories and the day-by-day growth of our program. If we're still talking about some of this stuff in late January, February, then, you know, it's been a disappointing year. But I really believe this team is going to grow. We have a lot of questions to answer offensively, but I do believe this team's going to grow and grow up rather quickly.
Any other questions? Okay.